Hello, welcome back to Let's Play Shadowrun, Hong Kong, where I have learned that conversation maintenance for this game is not just my crew, but also to get the full story and probably to get a leg up on whatever the threat is. Pretty much the entire area. Actually, come to think of it, Dragonfall was the same, so I shouldn't have been surprised. Anyway, how can we help you? I've got to run. See you. Okay, so that wasn't... I've caught up with that. But we should go around and go see to make sure that I've caught up to where I'm supposed to be on all things. With Crafty Jew, I probably should have had 3 conversations with her already. Mild scent, sweet, slightly herbal, is the first thing you notice upon entering the old shop. Its quarters are cramped, made smaller by the display cases, and furniture packed inside. And may I just say, this shop is beautiful. This map here is beautiful, and I can't wait to see your portrait. Here we go. The walls are lined with bookshelves, and tables and chairs are stacked with old tomes. A few titles jump out at you. Lucid dreaming, an exploration of the inner self, dream logic, nocturnal visitations. Overall, the place feels lived in, if disorganized. Not quite cluttered, but close. Milling at the front of the store is the shopkeeper, lost in a book of her own. She's tall for a human, probably close to 2 meters in height. Her physique is typical bookworm, not overweight, but you can't see any muscular definition either. A wraparound tattoo covers her upper arms and shoulders, but from where you're standing you can't quite make it out. She fidgets. Gradually, her eyes rise from her book and lock onto you. Oh, yep. Interesting. It's not what I was... It's not... It's a good design. It's not as standout. It's not as extraordinary as some of the others. I should have... I mean, that's actually weird that the mage has the most ordinary look. Welcome. Don't believe I've seen you before. She sets down her book and sweeps a strand of black and pink hair behind her ear. Name's Crafty. Noelle, nice to meet you. So, Noelle, what can I do for you? I've got spells, alchemical reagents, foci, whatever you want. Might have to do some digging to find it, but if it's magical, it's around here somewhere. I'd like to see your wares. I have a friend to buy stuff for. Conjuring 3, and I'm having issues where I'm going to need to pause the video and come back to it in a little bit. See you. Hello, sorry about that. Playing a sort of metagame of how did onions get into my diet? And when will the pain end? Anyway, let's see. I'm going to exit real quick. Thanks, Crafty. See you around. I'm going to be talking to you in a little bit, but I want to look at your level gained. Conjuring is +1. Oh, that's not going to show me. That's a level up screen. Oh, I can't look at yours. I am going to trust that your conjuring's at least 3. I'd like to see your wares. Okay. Spellcasting. I doubt you have good spellcasting. What about weapons? If you look at weapons... Yeah, sure. Okay. 600. Conjuring. Anything we can buy? Armor? Yeah, sure, we'll get you that. Okay. That's all of our money. Okay. Confirm. Now, like I said, I've been letting conversations go by a little bit, so we'll likely have several conversations back. Say, Crafty, is this your store or do you just work here? It's mine. I inherited it from my mom. As you can see, she generously left me all her research journals. Her words are thick with sarcasm. Mom was never a big cleaner, but neither am I. Mom used to keep spirits around that helped her manage the place. They're not here anymore. But sometimes I swear my books aren't where I last placed them. Who knows, maybe they pop by for visits. I just wish they'd clean while they were here. What makes this store so special? It's old, respectable, built over a dragon mine. We also carry texts unavailable anywhere else. But I guess, for me, I'm drawn to this place by the nostalgia. You don't sound thrilled. It's a job, can't complain. What's with the name of the store? It's a cultural thing. 5 phases represent wood, earth, water, fire, and metal. Some people believe they're the basis for how things function and interact in this world. You'll find it practiced all throughout China in disciplines ranging from farming to science and even music. The theory isn't common among younger generations, but it has its uses. My mother was strongly influenced by it. In fact, our sign out front is a visual representation of the cycle of 5 phases. It was an inspiration to her. She raises a shoulder in a half shrug. I just think that it looks neat. In all honesty, the yin yang and the 5 phases stuff is kind of a metaphor. Um, there is actually a lot of scientific thought for it. They just used that metaphor to explain what they were talking about. And it gets all mystified when it comes over to the West and gets translated. Because the first people that went out there were people expecting were like the first Europeans that went out there to discover it. Well, the first in a long, long while, because Marco Polo would have been coming from when Europe was not as well developed, and such like that. Went out there expecting to find people who were overcome with superstition and all that. So when they described what they learned, they created superstition and things that were just easy ways to explain stuff to people. Anyway, I have a question about something else. Say, Crafty, have you had any vivid dreams lately? Her face is unreadable. Her eyes lock onto yours. As a matter of fact, I have, Noelle, but we all get the occasional vivid dream. Nothing special there. Gestures to the books on the tabletop. Really? Then why are you reading up on them? Sure, it's a little weird we're having them, but these types of dreams are common in the walled city. Nothing to get all worked up about, probably. She flicks her wrist dismissively. They're common? Explain? Common as the cold. My mother devoted her life to researching the walled city and the magical phenomena within it. So I grew up with stories about the city, the recurrent creepy dreams being one of them. I've never been inside the walled city myself, but Mom went in pretty regularly and experienced the dreams. Where is your mother now? Dead. Mom was interesting but not praiseworthy. What else do you... Tell me about yourself, Crafty. She raises a shoulder in a half shrug. I'm not sure where to start. What do you want to know? What do you do when you're not at work? I've been pretty crunched here at the shop, so I don't have a lot of time outside of work. When I'm off the clock, I like to read and paint. Maybe kick back and enjoy a meal with my friends. My buddy Gobbet sometimes stops by with food. No drag racing or anything, pretty boring. Gobbet sent me here, actually. She sent me a message saying that I should talk to you. She's a good person, isn't she? We're not real close, but we have a pleasant relationship. Chatting over French fries, discussing our latest reads. You know, shallow things. How do you know her? She and Isabel got me out of a tough spot. Good. Keep her by your side. Gobbet's pretty fluent in the ways of the city and the people who live here. She knows her stuff. If you stick with her, you'll find yourself in a lot less trouble than you would otherwise. What do you like to read? Crafty claps her hands together and a slow smile spreads across her face. Oh dear. Aside from the usual, I love sitting down each morning to a tall cup of soy calf with the latest news stream on hand. I pop it right open to the obituaries. Makes for great reading. She smiles at you for a moment before speaking. Kidding, well, for all you know. I tend to stray toward detective novels, maybe some suspense and horror, and when I'm not reading for leisure, I study my textbooks to keep my magic sharp. You say you paint? Just for fun. I don't make any money off of it or anything like that. I just find it relaxing. Designed my tattoos, but that's about the extent that I take it beyond the canvas. Mind if I see that tattoo? I can't quite make it out from here. Yeah, sure. She turns her back to you, and you can see the tattoo in all its glory. It looks like an impressionist rendition of a school of salmon jumping upstream. The artistry of the piece is undeniable. That's pretty amazing, really professional quality work. An embarrassed smile creeps under her features. She scratches her shoulders. You're being way too generous, but I'll take it, thanks. Sounds fun, but I'd like to ask you something on a more serious note. I'm using the same voice for both these characters, so... Oh well. Is Crafty really your name? No. A wave of nostalgia seems to pull her gaze toward the shop's front window. The name started out as a joke, actually. Back home, Mom used to call me Crafty, since the meaning is similar to my given name. I liked it because of the way it sounds. I insisted that my family call me Crafty, so it became sort of a nickname around the house. When I got older and started school in Hong Kong, I made my mom register me as Crafty, and it stuck. So what's your given name? Meow. She raises her hand to prevent you from replying. Yes, like a cat. You foreigners always make that same joke, which is why I grew up hating Meow. Call me Crafty. Your mother sounds like quite the mage. Did you study magic too? She just said she did earlier. I sure did. Natural predisposition. She flexes her arm or whatever. Mom and I learned the craft differently. I went to a university and she was book taught. Mom was very old school. Her magic wasn't as applicable to everyday situations and it was rooted in superstition. It still worked, and well, but only for more ritualistic ancient spells. Practical spells like rain shields and bottomless trash cans were outside of her repertoire. Back on topic. What else do you know about the walled city? Very little. Just that my mother spent most of her time in there, and she shifts her weight, leans onto the counter. Well, it messed her up. Is there something specific you want to know? What can you tell me about the city? Where to begin? The walled city's always been a hellhole. It started a bad place. It's still a bad place. Crime is drawn to it like a magnet, and you can't enter the city without security guard on each elbow. But not even that will guarantee you safe passage. No one famous or rich or memorable has ever come from the place, and the only thing it's known for around here is its shitty reputation. She shrugs loosely, and that's about the gist of it. Now there's a whole library here that just so happens to be the foremost location of walled city text. I'm sure you can fill in the blanks. I get the feeling that your relationship with your mother was unusual. You'd better believe it. She was obsessed with walled city, but put it before everyone in her life. Mom ate, slept, and breathed that city. Was something fueling her obsession? Crafty shifts her gaze back to a stack of books on a nearby table. Yes, actually. Mom was convinced that something was wrong with the place, that was cursed in some way, polluted with unnaturally bad qi. She'd visit the city on protection of the Yellow Lotus, spend hours, sometimes days, studying it. Crafty tears her eyes away from the books and returns her gaze to you. Mother was consumed by her research. Did she ever find anything? She sure tried. Mom thought she could find a way to purify the place, to exorcise its demons. Her obsession with the walled city grew, and she devoted more and more of her life to breaking its curse. I wish I could say she fell off the radar, but really the rest of the world fell off hers. That must have been hard for you. It is what it is, and here I am. Crafty gives you a warm smile. It sounds to me like you don't believe in your mother's research. You can see Crafty studying you. She exhales through her nose, and it seems as if she's considering something. I know we've just met, Noelle, but you have a generous ear. I don't mind discussing my mother with you, as long as we keep the details between us. Mother's research was stupid. Just plain stupid. She wasn't stupid herself. No, Mom was very bright. But her obsession was downright unhealthy. Anyone could see that. The walled city is a toxic place, home to dark spirits and astral influence, but Mom believed in a singular curse at the heart of the place. When you say toxic, what do you mean? My mother failed to change the walled city, and the time she spent inside there changed her. She grew sickly. She became moody, irritable. She suffered from night terrors the rest of her life. Crafty languidly sweeps a small clump of dust off a nearby book. It must have been difficult to watch her decline like that. She points a finger at you. It wasn't just that. The breaking point for me was her ridiculous obsession. I refused to indulge her, and it drove a wedge between us. Neither of us were willing to relent. I guess we had that in common, stubborn to the end. So after Mom died, I turned my back on her work and left the walled city and its people to themselves. It's a toxic site beyond rehabilitation. I do my best to ignore it. Her composure breaks for a second. You can see Crafty shift nervously behind the counter. At least I've tried. Now that these dreams, these nightmares, are leaking out of the walled city, I wonder if I can still ignore it. We always have a choice. You're right, but not everyone's choices are weighted evenly. I just don't think I can turn a blind eye to what's happening here. She loosely gestures to the black bookshelves all over the shop. I have my mother's journals. I have the means to try and help. It's sure to dredge up bad memories, but if it'll help my friends, maybe it'll be worth it. I don't know. I guess I have a lot to think about. She crosses her arms and wraps her fingers against her skin. Anyway, thanks for lending me that ear of yours. I've been thinking about the dreams. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. Why do you think they're affecting people outside the walled city? It's definitely strange. Until now, I always thought the dreams were nonsense, that my mother just had night terrors because of her madness. She props her chin up with her right hand. But now it's really happening, and not just to me, to others around Hayoi. Those same psychic forces that drove Mom insane are dredging into our subconscious. Lately, I've been wondering if there might have been something to her ravings. Maybe. I've been skeptical for so long, it feels almost blasphemous to consider it. Maybe the walled city's curse is real. She rubs her hand down her face, obviously frustrated. I just don't know. So, expansionist powers don't focus on rebuilding when they conquer. And when you expand, you have to stop being focused on expansion as the source of your power eventually, because you collapse in on yourself. Because you eventually get to where there's nothing left to conquer, or you get to the extent of your strength, and everything you built collapses in because there's nothing coming in to feed the parts to feed what you've taken. If whatever is in the walled city has consumed all of the psychic nourishment it can out of those residents, or not consumed at all, but consumed enough that it's not getting all of its nourishment it needs, it has to start reaching further to keep feeding. In other words, it's just going to keep spreading. This is not a pleasing thought. Maybe you can learn something from your mom's journals. That's true, but my mother's notes are scattered all over the shop. Most of her research is scrawled in the margins of the books that you see on the shelves and piles and stacks all over. The clues we'd need to figure this thing out could be in any one of these volumes, and there are thousands of them. Which one? I have a bad feeling about these dreams, Crafty. If there's anything we can do to get to the bottom, we need to take that opportunity. I'm glad I remembered to go talk to her finally. But with the dream's reach spreading, can you really afford to let the knowledge sit here? She sighs, straightens up. Yeah, I know. I know what I have to do. It's just, damn, look at them all. She tiredly looks down at the book she was reading earlier. I guess I won't be finishing this one anytime soon. All right, Noelle, I'm going to get started now, but it'll take time. The House of Five Phases is jammed from floor to ceiling with books, and any one of them could hold valuable information. Check in once in a while. I'll share my findings with you. You're doing the right thing. I'll do what I can too. Thanks, I appreciate that a lot. And thanks, Crafty. See you around. And now, because I've been letting this sit, we're going to consider that as a flashback. And I look at my timer and see 444. Lovely. Immediately upon entering, you notice the clutter. Somehow, the small magic shop is even messier than it was before. Stacks and stacks of books occupy chairs, tables, tops of shelves. There seem to be even more than when you first visited. It's as if you just entered a paper factory in spawning season. As a note, the only thing that would make this better is if they change the map every time. But then I would have left and come back in. But yeah, anyway. Oh, look at all the books. Oh my goodness, look at the detail of the books smashed into the... Oh my goodness, that's lovely. Oh, they're all over the place. The scrolls scattered out everywhere. Oh, wow. I love this. Okay. You peer around precariously arranged tower of books and find Crafty hungrily reading one of her mother's journals. Red rings her eyes and tousled hair falls over her face. It looks like she hasn't seen the better part of a pillow in a couple of days. She moves to stretch and spots you. With a quick flick of her hand, she marks her place in the journal. What a welcome sight. Have you found anything? Not too much. You? How about you? A slow smile spreads across her cheeks. She nods. This mind-numbing tedium is starting to pay off. Check this out. The dreams that everyone's having, they aren't really dreams. They're omens. From what I've gathered, we're walking a fine line here. They're pretty dangerous. Attempts to interpret them could lead to mixed results. What do you mean by omens? You know, omens, harbingers of doom and gloom and the bad things to come. Her mouth twists to the side as she thinks. Just a minute. Crafty opens a drawer behind a counter and brings out a dictionary, clears her throat. Omen, a sign that warns of future events by way of visionary creatures or hallucinations. She closes the book with a thump. Why are they happening here? Apparently these sorts of portents are commonly linked with malign places and disaster sites. They're caused by leakage through wounds between our world and the astral plane. Okay, great. That means we can seal them, right? Okay, this is bad. Real bad. We've got to find a way to fix this. Not sure we can. At least I haven't found anything about that in my mother's text yet. She lays a hand flat on the countertop and leans forward. We don't want to dive into this haphazardly, Noelle. Remember, these omens can be dangerous. How are they dangerous? She holds up a finger and starts digging around for another text. After a moment, she locates a small data notepad and flips to a dog-eared page. In here it says these visions, or dreams, or whatever you want to call them, are real. They're open to interpretation, but interpreting them incorrectly can be dangerous. Astral space is a place of dream logic. Taking the things you see too literally can be even more dangerous than ignoring them. Oh, so whatever we do, interpret or ignore, we're inviting trouble. So that sounds like the best outcome would be for us to interpret a dream correctly. Using that term loosely, yes, but there's no real correct way to interpret a dream, and it's difficult to separate the nonsense from the substance. Can you interpret the dreams? Crafty plunks a notepad on top of a nearby book tower. I can't help you to interpret your dreams. Whatever they're trying to impart, it's beyond me. All I can do is keep reading. There has to be something in this library that can help us understand what's happening. We're already making strides. Thanks, Crafty. I do my best. She smiles tiredly, the bags in her eyes exaggerated by the gesture. See you soon. I'll be here. And we'll check again. Okay, just browsing. Thanks, Crafty. See you around. Okay, so... timer's about to go off. So I'm going to stop it. And... yeah, that does look pretty neat. Anyway, talk to you in the next video. I might actually do another run